Hello everyone, and welcome to the 8th episode of the Game Design Archive with Edvard and Ludwig. I'm Ludwig and I'm here as usual with Edvard. Hello.
Hello.
Today we are going to talk about game overs in modern games and why they are too punishing. Go ahead, Edvard.
Yes, so I'm gonna start with an example here, a personal example.
Yes.
That is not exactly what we mean, but it's very close to what we mean. So it is what we mean, but I'll get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't remember when this was. It was after the second Dishonored game had come out.
Yes.
I decided for some reason to play the first one. At first I was a bit skeptical, but then I was like, oh, this is really cool. And then I played through it multiple times. I save scummed the hell out of that game. I got all the collectibles, and I did both the good and the bad ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried a lot of different things, should I do it this way, should I do it that way? And I kept, reloading the save. And then after that, I was like, cool, now I've done most things, and the DLC, right? Now I've done most things in this game. Let's try out the second game.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, my PC wasn't the most powerful PC or whatever. And also, they had changed engine from, I think they used some Bethesda engine, id-Tech, I don't remember. They modified id-Tech for the second one and an Unreal engine for the first one. And when I started the second one, first of all, it loaded slowly, right? Which, I mean, fair enough. But the big issue for me, I actually quit the game. So I didn't play the game at that point. I played it further into the future. And the reason for that was because when you saved and when you loaded a save, the game was so fucking slow that I couldn't be bothered. I was like, I couldn't do anything. Basically, I couldn't try anything, right? Because it was so tedious to restart. Yeah. And that's kind of touching on the point we're gonna talk about today, right? Where the point is not that games are too hard or whatever. It's that it's when you fail.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the time it takes to get back into it is basically too punishing.
It's not that playing the game is too punishing or that the stuff in the game is too punishing. It's that the actual process after dying is tedious and boring and repetitive or whatever.
Yeah, and also without purpose, because you can argue that there's games that are in quotation marks tedious with this stuff. But that's intentional, right? Where you have to do sections over again or whatever, but that's part of the experience.
Yeah.
But I would
I guess
we can go. Right.
The point of permadeath games, I have absolutely nothing against permadeath games. I think permadeath is a good mechanic, and one could argue that it's tedious to have to redo everything if you die, but there's a point to that, right? I think that's an important distinction to make also.
Yeah, and I'm gonna touch more on that later, but I guess you can go over to, you said you had an example of
So I'm gonna start with an example of a game that does death well. And that's Völgarr the Viking, and specifically the first one. So Völgarr the Viking is a very hard game. It's very tough. You die a lot in that game. And that game is super simple. It has a checkpoint at the start of the level. When you die, you respawn at the checkpoint. And then you get to play again. There's no bullshit, no beating around the bush or whatever you say. It's just you die, okay, you died, restart and play the level again. It's very straightforward.
Yep.
And the reason I want to bring that up as an example is because Völgarr the Viking has a sequel, and it handles death slightly differently. And I'm gonna read straight from the Völgarr the Viking 2 also offers modern quality of life options, such as checkpoints, save states, and undead mode. You decide how punishing your quest should be, but now anyone can be a Viking.
Yeah.
Now, this is like the complete opposite to how Völgarr the Viking was. The first one, sorry. The first one was very much like, okay, this is a tough game, it's hardcore, you're gonna die a lot, whatever. The second one is very much like, oh yeah, you can save wherever you want, or you load the checkpoint if you want to or not. And I know like the first game had a thing where it's like, if you beat the game without dying or only dying a certain number of times, you get like a secret ending and a harder game or whatever. And I think Völgarr the Viking 2 also has that, so like, in a sense, it's just as hardcore. But I just wanted to like bring this example up because it's like, death, like, failing should be punishing, I guess. Like, I need to choose my words wisely here.
Yeah.
It's like, you should be punished for failing. Like, in the game, you should be punished for failing. But the act of being dead shouldn't be punishing, is I guess what I'm trying to say. And I think this is what Völgarr the Viking 2, like, fails with, because, like, dying isn't a big deal in Völgarr the Viking 2, but it's, like, in both ways. I'm not saying that, like, dying is tedious in Völgarr the Viking 2, but it's also not punishing, and therefore it's kind of bad in a way.
Yeah, there is definitely like, I wouldn't say it's a balancing thing, but it's sort of a balancing thing. So like, not balance as in game balance, like balance in the features or whatever. So I think the idea of so if we take Völgarr the Viking again as example, I think there is potentially an issue with how the first one is structured, which is how should I say this? Like, for example, let's say you play the first mission and you have mastered the first mission or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And but you don't know how the boss works.
Yeah.
And you keep going there and dying, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is a problem. But I agree with you that the solution is for sure not to just, let the player do whatever they want.
Yeah. And like, oh yeah, just save before the boss and load the save.
Because that does, like, if the challenge of the other part is like not there anymore, right? You master the other parts, then it becomes tedious, like loading screens or whatever. Yeah. And I think for some reason, like a lot of, it feels like, I could be wrong, but it feels like a lot of more old games had like practice stuff, whereas modern games are more like, I think modern games are very like, they're in this like mindset where you're supposed to like never leave the, how should I say this? Like everything is like seamless, and you can't leave the experience, right? You can't have a menu where you pick another thing or anything. It needs to be one, like, they do that with cutscenes, right? It's like, ooh, the cutscene is seamless into the, it's completely pointless, right? And I think that mindset has sort of ruined the way developers think about this stuff.
Yeah.
But I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna. You go ahead first.
Okay, yeah, I think it's somewhat like culture, like you're saying, with like game designers, because I think the sort of problem is that if you look at, I know you play a lot of shmups, and shmups often have like practice modes where you can like.
Well, they don't actually. That is a problem. Oh, they do, but they're really bad. But I'll get to that later.
Yeah. But let's say in this example we have a shmup with a good practice mode. The point of the practice mode is the mastery of the game, right? It's you practice so that you can do the full run and beat it.
The game needs to
be a master.
Yeah, the game needs to be very clear. Like, that's what I say. Why I said the Völgarr example is like Völgarr 2 is still bad, because you don't want to. it's sort of what the game tells you your goal is or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And the game shouldn't compromise on its goals, but it should minimize tedium.
Yeah.
And one way to do that is with practice stuff.
Yeah. So what I was going to say is that I think the sort of cultural view with modern game designers is that, you know, the game is an experience or something. Like you're supposed to play it from start to end without interruption or something like that. Whereas like it doesn't really have to be. Like you could have a practice mode where you're practicing the hard parts and then going back into the main game and doing everything, you know.
Yes.
I guess we've kind of lost the culture where it's like, yeah, you need to be a master of this game.
I mean, there is still traces of that with the Souls and stuff.
Yeah.
I think we should bring up Terry Kavanagh's games.
Yeah.
As a like good example here.
Yes, very good example.
To make it more clear about what we mean. So the super obvious one is Super Hexagon.
Yeah.
In Super Hexagon, we've talked about Super Hexagon before, right? It's you die in one hit. It's a spinning hexagon, and if it hits you, you die, and you need to survive for 1 minute. Yeah. But the game makes it very clear that you're not supposed to clear it right immediately. It's like instant. I don't even know how to, like, you kind of need to watch it to understand what like the feel. But it's like it stops and like it freezes the music, everything freezes, and it's like it's basically telling you to just, you know, click the button and continue playing, right? And then you just keep doing that and doing that and doing that, and it's instant, right? It's like game over, begin, game over, begin, game over, begin, and then you get further, right? But then sometimes you don't, and then like it has this super nice flow to it, like it's actually one of my favorite things about that game, how it handles that, because the flow is absolutely perfect for like failure, and like it does not become it's sort of like psychological stuff, right, with the gambling and stuff, where it's like it's sort of so good at being out of your way that you can't stop, basically. Right? It's like no, you can just go again, right? It just keeps telling you to go again.
Like it doesn't make dying a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes it very like out of your way, so you can just go again. And it's like, come on, you can make it one more second. Come on, go.
Exactly.
And I think there are obviously other games, like, I mean, this is gonna be a silly example, but to sort of prove the point that this matters, right? I'm gonna bring up a very weird example here in between, which is Flappy Bird, right? Mm-hmm. Flappy Bird, I mean, it's obviously not the most amazing game ever, but it's, in quotation marks, a hard game, right? You could argue it's a hard game, but it was still very, very popular. And I think this part of that is because it got that, like, you know, you just die and then you just go again, right? There's nothing in your way to continue. I think a lot of mobile games, actually, funny enough, are like that, like the hard ones, you know, ones, you know, like the runners or whatever.
Before,
like, I don't remember, Temple Run or whatever, right?
Subway
Surfers. I mean, sure. I mean, they're not the hardest ever, right? But like they have that flow correctly, is what I mean. Yeah,
I think one very interesting comparison to make, which is sort of not relevant to this topic, so I'll not linger on it too long. But it's, you know, the classic one more turn from the Civilization games. And I'm not gonna talk about why I hate it, because then I'm gonna rant for like several hours. But I completely disagree with that feeling. When I play Civ, I want to shut the game down all the time because I'm bored.
Yeah.
The only type of game that gives me that one more turn feeling are games like, you know, Super Hexagon, where it's like you play and you die and you instantly restart. Yeah. Like it's because you're like so mad that you died, but it's so easy to restart. That's the thing. It's so easy to restart that you're just like, okay, I'm just gonna do one more try. Yeah. And like, you know, Super Hexagon is a super simple game. It's like the level is 1 minute long, and sometimes I've started up that game or games like it where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do maybe 2 or 3 tries and then I'm gonna shut down because I don't want to spend too long on it. And then I end up playing for like an hour because I get stuck like spamming the restart button. Like I'm almost like, you know,
I'm not
brainwashed by the game into like spamming restart whenever I die.
Yeah, like I don't remember. Like, the first time I played that game, I'm not joking. I did like I don't remember. I played it for like 5 or 6 hours, I think, straight.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't stop. I don't know if that's good or bad, but yeah. But I just to make another point clear that this is not only for action games. I'm gonna bring up another Terry game, which is Dicey Dungeons, which we also have talked about before. You probably haven't thought about this too much, but I thought about it a bit, and so it's a bit different because it's not an action. Like it's not action. It's not instant. Runs are long. The runs are like 20 minutes or something, and maybe not that long. 15 minutes. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah,
right?
somewhere around
yeah.
there. Yeah.
But the thing that like it doesn't make a big deal out of it. So I'm gonna like refresh your memory here. So what happens in that game? It's this like epic music, do right, and then you fight, and then when you're low health, the heart starts beating, right? It's do. Like you're losing now. If you get out of that, that's really satisfying actually. So if you beat it, but if you lose, the game, like the only thing that happens is the sound stops. There's like a death sound, like boom, and then the sound stops, and it says like warrior has been slain or something if you're playing warrior. Yeah. And then you click one button and you're back in the menu. And so it's like, it's not like I'm trying. Like if you can imagine the other end of the spectrum, right, where it's like this big spectacle. It's like super dramatic music and like blood rain, and it's like the world is ending because the hero died, and it's like making this huge thing out of it, and it's like
or like a massive cutscene.
Wherever when you died, and it's like the game is like, nah, you died. Yeah. Just click play again. It's no big deal. Just play again. Yeah, no one cares. Exactly, it's like I mean, you care because you died, but the game is like, cool, you died. Here you go again, right? It's not. It's not mad at you for dying. Basically, it's not saying you're a bad person because you died. It's saying, okay, you died, but you can go again. Yeah. So it works for a lot of games. I wouldn't say though, as a counterpoint there, that you can't mock the player, right?
Yeah, that's
like there's styles to this, but it can't be like super dramatic, is my point, right? It's like, especially story-heavy games, sometimes it's like, oh my god, like it's funny, right, in these games, because it's such a like they're making this huge deal out of you dying, and they all usually have a lot of checkpoints and stuff, and it's like, it's not a big deal because you respawn like 2 minutes back or whatever, and it's like you just do it again, and it's
I think one point to like about what you said with you can mock the player.
Yeah.
I think one really fun example of this is Team Fortress 2.
Yeah.
Where it's like the team that loses gets to be like hunted down and slaughtered by the winning team, and like that sort of stuff is fun, right? Yeah. But it's like, it's for the last 5 seconds or something of the round. It doesn't really matter. It's like the problem is getting in the way of the player.
Yes.
And being like, oh, you failed. This is a big deal. Like, no, it's not a big deal. Just try again.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that I want to kind of talk about is RPGs, because I play a lot of RPGs. I've mentioned it before, or maybe I used to. I haven't played many in a long time. But they don't usually make a big deal about dying, but they are usually like, they suffer a lot from stuff like long loading screens and a bunch of menus to click through, and it's always so tedious to die in an RPG because you spend like 5 minutes getting back into the game.
Yeah.
And one thing I've noticed with time, and this is not only for RPGs, this is like for any game, it's that how tedious dying is somewhat of an indicator of how good the game is. Like, because if it's annoying to die, like if you need to sit through a 5-minute long loading screen or whatever, usually the game isn't designed in a way where you die often, right?
Yes.
Because if it would have been, the developers would have noticed, like, holy shit, we have a 5-hour long loading screen. this is unacceptable, we need to fix it. But because of it, or like, yeah, it becomes very clear, oh yeah, this game, it's really tedious to die, and you're obviously not supposed to die in this game. And so, if you're not supposed to die, it's kind of pointless to play the game in a sense, because the game isn't really challenging, and you're just doing stuff to progress in the story or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's not fun.
Yeah, I think that ties into like the thing we mentioned earlier about the like, you know, the continuum, like of the like the designers thinking about it, like, oh no, the player should never be taken out of it. It's sort of a different topic, right? But it's still interesting. Yeah. The thing I think we talked about before, where designers, like, they have this idea where, oh, it should be hard, so hard it doesn't beat you, but you know, hard, right? Yeah, and like how that's perfectly balanced, and how that doesn't work obviously in practice. Like if you think about it for more than 5 minutes, it's obvious that doesn't work, because what does that even mean, right? Sorry, I interrupted you for you.
I don't think you
did.
Okay.
No, it was just an interesting thought I had when hearing about that. Like, maybe RPGs are like they're taking, because they're usually sort of story heavy, not story heavy like that, but it's like, and they're like taking on things from like more more popular, like more story games, right, where it's more trying to create this flow.
Because you know, there's long loading screens obviously in a lot of RPGs, but then there's the deal that when you load your save, you need to go through like a conversation, and you need to pick the right dialogue choices again. So you need to skip through the dialogue, but not too fast, because then you miss the right dialogue choice. And then it's like, now the guys are like putting themselves into battle position, so now you need to watch a short animation or something. And it's just, let me play the combat again. It's so annoying.
I don't know how. It's actually interesting that you bring it up. I don't know how they test these games, because I would, like, from my limited experience with the game dev stuff, right? The first thing I put in is like stuff so I can skip, like get to the point where I want fast, because I test, you know, you like implement something and you test it. I guess they have stuff to skip that, and then they don't give that to the player, which is kind of mean, but I don't know, or they don't test it. I don't know.
I would probably believe they don't test the game is a more...
or like the persons implementing it are not testing it, so they're getting some poor game tester to suffer. Probably. It's because like it's immediately obvious, right? Like you mentioned loading screens earlier, right? Obviously, I understand that some games have to load their assets or whatever, but if it's taking a very long time, it's like, I don't know, find a way to not reload all the assets, right? Do something, because I don't know.
Yeah, it hurts the game.
Yeah, it's really bad.
It does,
It's one of, because you can obviously work around that with like, okay, it doesn't reload that, it just reloads the game state or whatever, because it knows what level it's on or something. More technical stuff, right? But still, it shouldn't do all that for no reason. And I mean, it sort of solves itself over time, because, or it has at least, I don't know if it does anymore, but it used to, right? If I play some games that loaded really slowly these days, they're loading really fast, right? From like 15 years ago. And so they're actually really convenient to play these days, because the loading times are not as bad.
I think one pretty good example of this, actually, I didn't think about this before, but it's a game that we talked about last week, which was the Shadow Tactics versus Shadow Gambit thing, where it's Shadow Tactics was the first game in the series and Shadow Gambit was the last.
Yes.
And you noticed how much longer the loading times became in like over time as they went to Shadow Gambit. Because for those of you that haven't played it, that game is
they've seen
like
the gameplay
core...
if they watched
true. If they watched the last video, maybe we'll put some in this one too. But basically, it relies a lot on like quick save and quick load. It's sort of like a puzzle game where you can kind of rewind to a previous move if you did something wrong, because like You know, because it's like a stealth game and it's super, like, the levels are super tricky, and it's more of like unraveling a puzzle than like an action stealth game like Dishonored or something. And so it relies a lot on like saving, trying something, reloading if it didn't work. And in the first game, that's pretty fast. Like, it's not in the way. And then in the second game, this is actually a really good example. I don't know why I didn't think of this before. In the second game, first of all, they added an animation to the like quick loading and saving stuff. Yeah. So like every time you save, there's like a big animation and a noise that's like, oh yeah, you saved, boom, epic. And then when you press load, which these are done with just one button each to make it as fast as possible, obviously, in the first game.
Yeah.
But when you press load in Shadow Gambit, which is the last game, it plays like a big animation, and it's like, oh yeah, it rewinds the time because there's a lore reason that the time rewinds, and there's like the screen like flashes or something. And it's so annoying to play that game. Because the first one was literally, you press save, and then you press load, and then it loaded it in like a few milliseconds. Yeah. And the last game is like, oh yeah, now I need to wait for this animation. Fun. And it's not fun. It's annoying. And it once again makes a big deal out of failure.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't.
Yeah, that's a good point with, and like, I think the same thing has happened to animations, basically, like, because that's animation stuff, right? Where it's,
yeah,
I guess it ties into the like game over animations and stuff as well, right? Where it's like,
yeah,
there's this long, even like, this is like super nitpicky, but I think you'll agree, even like UI stuff where it's like, it's like scrolling in slowly or whatever, right? Because they want you to see when it moves, and it's like, no, just make it fast. I'm gonna look at this menu for, you know, depending on the game, right? A lot, like, I'm gonna open and close this a lot of times. Please make it fast.
Yeah.
But it's like, exactly. Oh, but it looks cool when it's, no, just make it fast.
Yeah.
Yes, you had an example of a...
Yeah, I had another example. Which was the one I planned, but it isn't as good of an example. Yeah, sure. But that's Catherine, which is, for those of you that haven't played it, it's like a puzzle action game. It's kind of hard to explain, but you push blocks around basically, and you like climb up a tower. And that game has like two parts to it. It's the actual gameplay, and then there's like a really boring, uninteresting, slow story section.
Right. Yeah.
And my problem with that game is that the gameplay part, where it's like the puzzle thing, is really well designed, and it's really fucking hard.
Yep.
And the problem is that you can only save at the end of the story section. And between the story section and the level, there's like a bunch of cutscenes and like unskippable dialogues, and you need to like choose the right dialogue options, as I mentioned before. And then you need to load in the level.
Yeah.
And it's slow. And like I haven't finished that game, and I'm pretty sure like I found the game to be very hard, to be clear. But I'm pretty sure that's the main reason that I didn't finish that game. Because it's so tedious to retry. I just want to play the game. I don't want to skip through the same cutscenes all over again and wait for the same loading screen all over again, which is, by the way, a pretty slow loading screen. And so it becomes... Like, I want to play the game, I think it's fun, but the game is like actively trying to stop me from playing, it feels like.
Yeah.
And that's bad.
Yeah, and doesn't that game also have like dramatic, long... I guess you could skip the dying animation, but I just remember you like fall,
it does have a pretty...
Like,
it's like, you fall all the way down, and then it like fades in slowly, and it says some deep stuff like, oh, you have failed, my friend. Yeah. And then, you press restart.
Yeah, and then it reloads all the stuff.
Yeah, so it loads the story section first, and then you need to do the story section, and then you need to load the level, so it's like super slow.
Yeah.
Which is sad, because Catherine is a good game. I want to be very clear. It's a very good game. Yeah. I was having a very good time with it, except for the loading screen.
I guess you could just... I think this is probably a good idea. Play there's like a challenge mode. And just ignore the story.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was better in they did like a remaster. I think that one might had, I'm not sure actually, but I think that had some extra stuff. But I don't know if that's available on PC.
No, I don't think you're talking about, what's it called? I forgot the name.
I don't remember what it's called. It's a remaster.
Yeah. I don't think the remaster is available on PC.
But there's still some mode in the PC version, I think, like a challenge mode. But if I remember correctly, there was some added stuff in the other one. I don't know. But yeah, so maybe that's the way to go, because I think that's sort of... I don't know, right? But I think it's... You skip that part in that case.
I would have been fine, like... Obviously, I don't enjoy the story parts, because I don't care about the story. But like, I would have been fine with playing the game if I had to play through the story parts, if I could save at the start of the level, right?
And it's even in the... Because it's like... Because it's even worse than that, right? It's like you have this like map, right? Where you like walk. You have to walk. You have to click on some map and stuff as well. So there's like even extra steps. Like you want it right at the bottom of the tower, right? Or whatever you call it, right? The blocks.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is true.
Because the thing is, it's kind of weird because it has like fast restarts, but they are limited.
Right.
So it's like if you die too much and you restart, you consume like the you have like lives that you consume. But then if you run out of lives, all that happens is that you load your last save, which like as I mentioned before, like the only like consequence of that is that you need to watch through the story.
It seems pretty punishing to me.
Yeah, it's punishing, but it's annoying. Why can't I just restart from the beginning? Because I do think it has... I don't remember actually. I think it has some checkpoints.
Yes.
And there, like, if you die, you like reset back to 0.
I don't remember.
Something like that. Whatever. It's tedious. Yeah.
I think this leads in very good to an example I wanted to bring up, which is Souls games. The thing with Souls games is that they're really interesting because people sort of agree that the punishing part... So for those that don't know Souls games, right? When you have these bonfires and when you die you have to run back to the fight or whatever, right? It's kind of hard there, right? Because on one hand that's an interesting dynamic, but on the other hand it's not. So I'm gonna go back in time first to Demon Souls, which is the first Souls like they did, right? Souls game they did. In that game, the levels are very linear and like corridor-like, or I don't know exactly how to say it, but they're more strict about enemies being in your way.
Yeah.
So the challenge in that game is more like, okay, so you spawn by this, it's not called a bonfire, but let's call it a bonfire, right? And then you run through the stage, and then there's a boss at the end. And when you beat that boss, there's another checkpoint, right? So it's this thing where you do a part, and then you do a boss, and then that's that, right? So that's got good, sort of good flow. But in like Dark Souls, or like the newer ones, it's more open, right? So it's more like open world. It's not really open world, but it's more open world. So you have more space to move around enemies. Which, I mean, and this is even sort of a problem in Demon Souls. But it's super obvious in the later ones. Where the boss, like, when you want to fight the boss, it's sort of just running back to the boss, right?
Yeah.
So it's just tedious.
Yeah.
So it's not actually that interesting that you have to run back.
Yeah. Yeah, because like when I play Soul games, I haven't played. I've only finished Sekiro and I've played a little bit of Dark Souls.
Yeah, you should play Dark Demon Souls.
Yeah. But what I end up like noticing is that the first time I go through an area, I'm like super careful and I try to beat all the enemies. And then when I know the layout of the enemies, I just run past them because they're not really a threat. Yeah. They're just like, they're in the way. Or they're not in the way, I guess.
Yeah, that is sort of an issue with the later games, that they're not as strict about the level design. But how they've like, they're obviously talented developers, so they listen, or like they look at this and think about how they could solve it. And so what they did because Elden Ring, right, the latest game, not a fan personally. I don't like it that much, but there's really good parts in it. But it's it's the big world is kind of ruins it for me. But they understood that as well. So what they did is they put these like extra checkpoints next to like the boss Forget, for example. And in theory, that should solve the issue. But in my opinion, that's sort of not that interesting, actually. It's kind of lame. Because then you remove the other half, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, because I guess you've mentioned before, like, in Demon Souls, it feels more like a run, right?
Yeah, it's like you run from one place to the...
Yeah.
And there's only checkpoints after beating a boss.
Yeah. Like, the level... There's... Every level, or whatever you want to call it, is one continuous thing. And then it has, like, a beginning and an end. Whereas in the other Souls games, it's more open-ended and you just kind of run around to the boss and then you save. Or whatever.
Yeah, and I feel like they tried harder in that game to, like, block the player. They didn't always succeed, right? Some of them are just runbacks, but some of them are like there's like a dragon breathing fire and you need to, there's like stuff in your way for real, not just tediously in your way. But the point the point I was trying to make with this is that there is a solution to this, which is to allow practice, right? This is a thing that bothers me a lot about a lot of hard games, especially run-based games, because they are really bad at this. So there's a lot of people that like run-based games. Or no, that's the thing. Like, there is a dedicated small amount of players that like run-based games, right? And they always say how fun it is, and it is super fun to do runs. But the problem with run-based games is that you have to do the entire run every time, and this is solvable. I don't know why these developers insist on not solving it. It actually bothers me quite a bit, because I'll bring up an arcade example, right? So arcade games are usually run-based because, they were. I don't know what to say. Yeah. And so, for example, we talked about Cave before. Cave has some good ports on the PlayStation 4. And those ports, they're emulated, I think. Like, officially, right? Which means they have save states. And usually people that play these games are fine with save states, right? As a tool to practice. But the problem is when people then go to make their own run-based games, they don't think about that for some reason. Like, they miss that. Like, that's such an important part. If you want to master, let's say a game is 20 minutes long, okay? If you want to master a 20-minute long game, and it's so you have no, because in arcades you could like feed it more credits or whatever to practice. I guess. But if you say, let's say you make a single player game and it's 20 minutes long and it's super duper hard and you want to like get some like super high rank or some, I don't know what this game has, right? Let's pretend it's some game. And all you have is start from the beginning. Maybe you have start from the beginning of each mission, like mission mode. No, I can't speak for everyone, but at least me and I think most people are not gonna bother with that, because that is so tedious. Especially, like, imagine it's like I said, let's say we don't have any, it's just start from the beginning, 20 minutes, right? And you die to the last boss every time, just to learn what he does. It just doesn't work at all. So basically my entire point with this is that practice modes, and very specific practice modes, right? So if we take Souls, maybe some, like, if some I don't think Souls people would I think they would feel this as I don't know how to say it.
like sheep.
Yeah, or like it would
Yeah.
be a threat to that bubble, right?
Yeah.
But I am like, for me, 100% what like you want. So like if very unfocused here, sorry. Like the let's say you take a boss in Dark Souls, right?
Yeah.
You should be, when you die in there, right? You should be allowed to go, okay, you died to this part, right? And then the game should allow you to like go back in and practice that part. Because in Souls, like especially the newer ones, it's funny, they have like moved they had this like stage structure, right? They've moved that because they moved the checkpoint. They've moved the boss, like that structure, into the boss fight. So they'll have like 5 stage boss fights or whatever, and it's like, okay, I need to do all these stages just to practice the last one, and that's not. I don't know. To me, that's not really that interesting. I would rather just practice that part, and maybe that part is harder, right? And then, but it's fun to do them all at once, right? That's why I'm saying it shouldn't be checkpoints. That's not you shouldn't be able to like continue from that point. The point is you should be able to try that part so you can go back and do all the parts, and that will remove the tedious discussion, right? About like, oh, this run back is tedious in Souls, right? Because it doesn't matter, because you don't have to do it every time you practice. You only have to do it when you are doing a, in quotation, run, right? So when you're doing it all at once, it's like a sort of like practicing music, right? If you practice the piano or whatever, a skilled person wouldn't, he wouldn't go, oh no, I'm gonna practice from the start all the time, right? That's not gonna work. I mean, maybe someone does, but they obviously go like, they like take this like 5-second thing and like, right? They like do the same thing over again, right? Until they know that, and then they go back and they like put them together. And I think games need to find a way to do that better, because that's super important if we want them to be more like skill oriented. Because it's not interesting to have these like, because the solution, right, most games have is these like tight checkpoints. And that works for some games, but it's not that interesting for most games. It's interesting that you have this long, like, execution chains, right? That you need to perfect. And like, if you have that, you need practice stuff, right? It's super, because otherwise it's too tedious, right? It is too punishing. Like we said, it takes too long because the first part is gonna bore you, right? Yeah.
I think the piano example you brought up is very good, because it's sort of what I was trying to explain with the culture thing that I mentioned in the beginning, where it's like game developers I don't think they really think about it that way at all. But if you were to explain a game to them, like learning to play a song on the piano, they would be like, no, it's supposed to be this linear experience where you're not interrupted, etc., etc.
And then you can't have an interesting experience at all.
Exactly. It is interesting to like practice the hard part and then try to put them together and do the full thing entirely. And it's already sort of what you mentioned, but I want to make it really clear, because what ends up happening then is you have situations like Dark Souls or the Souls games in general, where it's like, okay, playing this whole part is tedious again, so we're just gonna move up the checkpoint.
Yeah, and that doesn't solve it.
No,
that makes it worse.
Yeah, just let me practice the boss, just as you practice the part of a piano song or whatever.
Even parts of the boss, right? Not just the boss. Like, exactly. No, I want to go to like 3 minutes into the fight or whatever, or like half health or like quarter health or whatever, and practice that part. Yep. Yeah.
I think a good example of this too is a game which I think is very, very good, sort of objectively speaking from a game design sense, I guess, but that I don't like. There's something wrong with it. That makes me not really like, it doesn't really click with me, and that's Devil Daggers. Because that game is looking at it from like a thinking game designer brain, it's so good, like it's amazing, everything about that game is perfect. But I think what makes it sort of feel weird is, I think we've talked about this before, like way before, not on the podcast, because it's based on a timer. It's survive for like 5 minutes or something is the goal, I think. It becomes so tedious to restart, because you let's say, I don't know if the actual time is 5 minutes that you need to survive, but let's say for just the sake of argument that it is. So I need to survive for 5 minutes. What happens if I die 3 minutes in? Okay, now I need to go back 3 minutes and play the easy part of the game that's 1 minute long, and then the sort of medium difficulty part that's 2 minutes long, and then I'm back to where I started, and now I can practice on the hard part.
Yeah, and that's also, by the way, assuming you didn't like fall asleep or maybe something along the way and lost and had to redo it, because like it's actually not easy. It's just that you've learned it, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The beginning of the game isn't easy. That's a very good point. It's not easy. It's just that I've done it so much that I sort of know how it works.
Yeah, and that's even worse actually, because then you're gonna be even like more likely to do a mistake because you get bored because you've done it so much. Yeah, sorry, continue.
Yeah, because that game is very punishing, right? Because it's like if you get hit, you die, and so you can absolutely die early on in the game. Like that happens even to good players probably. But the problem is that, you know, you can't and I don't know how you would make a practice mode in that game, because sort of
it's super easy.
You kind of control how enemies spawn later on, and so it becomes kind of hard to create a practice situation.
You just make them able to set whatever variables or like save the state of the game and let you jump
that's
around.
True.
You can do whatever. Like there's a lot of ways to do it. Like this the what do you say, save state version, right? You can just jump around to practice. Like
I guess you could like be save this run, and then you can restart from any point in the run or something like that. That would actually work. Yeah, that's a good point.
There's a lot of ways you can do it.
So
tweak the variables or whatever. Because like I mentioned before, like the cave port, they're super good, right? Made by M2 Shot Triggers, and like I sometimes I'll go in, right, and I'll be like, I'll go to this boss or this section, right, of a stage. I'll go to this and I'll do these 10 seconds, right? Not even not like just 10 seconds, and I'll like do them over and over and over again, right, until I beat them. Like, because you, how else are you gonna figure out how to do some of those parts, right? They're really hard. I don't know if some people Google cave arcade games, right? I guess, and look at like some of those sections. Like if you don't look up how to do them and you're trying to figure out how to do them yourself, you need to be like. You need to be able to go second by second almost, right? And not exactly right, but it depends. Really.
Sorry for bringing us back to what I just talked about a few minutes ago, but I want to mention that the same people who made Devil Daggers has also made Hyper Demon, and they're obviously very good designers, because in I haven't played much Hyper Demon because I always keep saying I'm gonna play that after I finish Devil Daggers, but I never finish it.
I mean, I told you to just. It's interesting that you bring up this point, because like the first thing I said when I played this game is cool, but I don't like it, and you were very disappointed. And like I guess what you're saying is you're really like realizing why I don't like it, which is I can't be bothered to redo it all the time. Like I need the checkpoints. I've been spoiled by games that do allow that, and so I would rather take a harder challenge that lets me. Go into each part, right? That's more fun to me, because I don't want to waste my time, basically. Sorry, continue about
so Hyper Demon kind of solves this problem. I just wanted to mention that. Because in Hyper Demon, the better you play, the faster enemy spawn, I think. So it's basically based on the score, I think, like because in Devil Daggers, it's a score-based game, but the score is time, right? And Hyper Demon is a score-based game where the score is score. And I think the more score you have, the more enemies spawn, and then you get more score from that, etc., etc. So I think it kind of solves the problem there. I just wanted to mention
but that. I still I understand the thought process there, and I'm not saying a designer that does that is wrong, but I fundamentally my opinion on this has changed over time, but I fundamentally disagree with that like mindset of like trying to make everything bake everything into the game, and because like I've tried it in the past in like some prototypes and stuff, and baking all the like practice into the game. I think I want practice modes separate, basically,
Yeah, I could be fine with. I think it depends on.
Since the game, like it does depend on the game for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's like if it's an endless game or whatever, obviously it's the same all the time, so it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But my point is like, if it changes over time, I want to be able to go in. Like I don't want the game to. They can do it, but I don't know. To me, it's like doing these things that are like, oh, this is clever. I'm doing these things so that you can sort of practice, right? And it's like, no, just let me practice.
Yeah, I think developers are scared to do it because.
I mean, it is also technically you need to do something like it's
Yeah.
not super trivial always, depending on the stuff to make you able to jump around anywhere in the game, right?
Yeah. Especially like the Devil Daggers example that would probably be pretty hard to implement.
Yeah.
But
I mean, even the cave stuff I mentioned, it's not like I don't think those games support that at all. It's just that those ports are emulating it, right? So they're emulating the hardware, so they can do whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Continue.
Yeah. Sorry, I just wanted to say that like. I think game developers are too focused on creating like this curated experience. I guess.
Yes, I agree. 100%. That's my issue.
It's not about mastering the game. It's about experiencing the brilliance of the designer or whatever.
Yeah, and that's sort of like fundamentally different from how I view it because I know I keep bringing up piano, right? But to me that's like very close to how I view games. It's very close to how I view games.
Me too.
It's like you're having this long thing and you break it down and you like learn all the parts and then you put it together and then you have the result, right?
Yeah.
And that's
okay. I think that's also a very good example because what ends up happening, it's sort of what you talked about with Souls, and it's also, I think we talked about that in a previous episode, Celeste, which like it has a lot of checkpoints. Like it's a checkpoint and then it's a super hard jump and then it's a checkpoint and it's a super hard jump and it's a checkpoint and it's like if you apply that sort of thinking to the learn to play a song on piano, it's like okay, we have this like 2 second long section of
it's like the song is 2 seconds basically. So you're playing playing a lot of very short songs.
And it's super hard. Is that interesting? No.
I mean, it can be. I'm gonna say that you can make games like that as well. There are definitely games that are interesting like that. Yeah, because you can make a much harder challenge, I guess.
Yeah.
Actually, no. You can make a hard run-based game if you want. You can be a you can do whatever you want. But I'm not gonna go ahead and say that no games should always be long. But
that's true.
Because short challenges, like if we go back to the analogy of music, right? It's like, okay, a game that consists of like 50 short songs can also be interesting. Just as interesting as one game that has a like 15-minute long song, right? Yeah. It's just a different experience, and I think game developers are struggling with the long ones right now. That's my point. Like they're moving towards the short ones because they know how to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like all hard games are like checkpoint, super hard, checkpoint, super hard. And it would be fun if some games were a bit more like, okay, we start the level and then it's like sort of hard and then it gets a bit harder and then a bit easier and then there's a super hard boss and then you know,
because you get like
a bit
flow
more variety
and stuff. Yeah, it's like it's very similar to music where it's like, okay, you have the like, you know, the ups and downs of the song or whatever, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's more interesting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool stuff.
I don't know. Have you said everything you wanted to say today?
Yeah. I think we've brought up most of the things we wanted to talk about.
Yeah. I think should we perhaps close off with the moral of the story?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. The moral of the story is don't make dying tedious and annoying. Make dying fast so that you can get back into the game fast and keep enjoying playing the game, because not playing the game is not enjoyable.
Yep.
And also practice modes.
Please practice modes. Like even sorry, I'm gonna do a little.
Yeah,
more
yeah, go ahead.
Like even so again, I play a lot of shoot 'em ups, right? And as we already said, it is hard to develop this stuff. I understand,
Yeah.
but still, some things like drives me nuts. Like they'll have a thing where you can practice the boss, and
Yeah.
they'll put the checkpoint before the like intro cutscene to the boss.
Yeah.
And so it's
That's
like
a classic.
I need to. It's like right, and the text shows up, and
Yeah.
it's like, okay, look, I've been doing this for 20 minutes. I don't need to see
Yeah.
this intro again. Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Like
Yeah.
Genichiro in Sekiro.
Yeah.
Every time he has
But
to do
you
the
can
animation.
skip that stuff in those games.
Yeah,
You
it's
can't
skippable.
skip it in the shmups, right? Because they're
True.
scrolling, auto scrolling. So you're just stuck there watching. That's Sorry, that.
True.
So more even the games that should know how to do this are struggling. Basically, is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yes.
More like
Thanks
music.
for listening, everybody. Oh, we're not.
No, we are done. We're done. Yeah. Thank
Yes.
you for listening, everyone.
Be more like
Yeah.
music. Thank you for listening, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.